I'm making this announcement in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, being Chapter 231, Public Law of 1975, laws of the state of New Jersey. The Planning Board Secretary has prepared a schedule of the meeting of the Planning Board of the Borough of Kenilworth for the year 2024 and has posted a true copy of this schedule on the bulletin board located at the front entrance of Borough Hall, and has mailed true copies of this schedule to the local source in Star Ledger, and is maintaining a copy of this schedule in Borough Hall. Accordingly, the notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied in regards to this meeting. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Paserno?
Here.
Mr. Morrow?
Here.
Mr. David?
Here.
Mr. Clementi?
Here.
Mr. Pantina?
Here.
Mr. Mazzio?
Here.
Mr. Ladowdy? Mr. Scuderi?
Here.
Mr. Demondo?
Here.
Mr. DeLuca?
Here.
Mr. Dunn?
Here.
Okay, that's done. A motion for the approval of the minutes of February 8th. Motion made by Mr. Scuderi, second by Mr. Mazzio. All in favor?
Aye.
How about that, Frank? Okay, I'm going to skip over communications for a second because I think that's going to take a little bit more time than item 6, the resolution. Application 23005. I think we're going to have to carry this to our next meeting because of the, Kevin, what was going on there? They didn't give us the proper paperwork or the plan, what actually happened, because I wasn't here for that meeting.
Chairman, the board required the applicant to remove the side steps, the right side of the house. They had originally proposed enclosing them and making them part of the house. The board said, no, you can't not only not expand, but you got to remove those steps because the board was very concerned about the amount of clearance, of width between the property line and the house itself. The applicant did submit revised plans. They do show the steps as they currently exist. They do not show them removed.
So we're waiting on that?
Well, they've submitted, and I guess, my guess is they forgot they were supposed to remove them instead of not expanding. So they have not complied.
The applicant is here, right? I know it's a little out of the structure. Would you guys mind coming up? Because I would like to talk to you about that real quick. I don't want to carry this if I don't have to. I just want to understand, what's going on. So from what we hear tonight is that you guys didn't take it off the plan, so we still see it on a plan, so it's hard to give you a resolution. Yeah, show them what's going on.
So the steps are shown on the front elevation. They're also shown on the first floor plan. So they're still shown there.
No, I do recall that the resolution was to create more impervious coverage, put lawn, I think it was architectural. Yeah.
So Chairman, I've shown the applicant's plans.
Okay.
Their plans that they've submitted.
Are you going to remove them?
Yeah, by all means.
Did you just mistake them off the plan?
I think it was a miscommunication with the architect, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, and to expedite it, I didn't closely look at it, so that's our mistake on our end. But yeah, the idea is to comply with removing them,
Okay.
putting on.
So I have one more question, Nick, please. You also had something else from the engineer about water management. Was that addressed?
The water management, yes, correct. They suggested pumps. There's a company called Morgan Engineering, who are the people that were subcontracting. They still haven't quoted us the proposal for the grading. It was a grading report and the drainage.
Is that part of the resolution?
Yeah, yes it is. And one of our other options, instead of not acting on this, is to act on it. They're obviously aware of the water situation with the water pump and the side yard, just the removal of the stairs and the pantry. We could adopt it. Those are the conditions that are in there. They're aware of them. And And until they, like any other applicant, until you comply with that, with those conditions, when you do, then you get your permits to build. So then we don't have to carry it for another month, because if they fix this in a couple of days, they'll be in compliance with at least that condition.
How do we get, I love that, but how do we get that information to the building department?
Right, because I'm concerned that if the building department gets these so-called revised plans, which still show the steps, then we're going to have a conflict between the resolution and who's going to make sure that the proper one is enforced. So I personally don't want to vote on the resolution until we have revised plans.
All right, but we don't follow it once it leaves here.
That's right, and that's the
Do we
problem.
make a note on the plans for construction, not current or not accurate, or awaiting final
We'll
plans?
submit the plans for the permit, for the building permit. But the resolution for the not enclosing the stairs that are there, they won't be. so-
Hopefully they
I
pick it
have a
up.
question for comfort, I could sign it, date it, within a week. I mean, we travel a lot for business, that's why the miscommunication, we were out of the country for the past month. So that's why when we got back, we saw clients and all this good stuff, it was already late, technically. But we could sign it, endorse it, I mean, at the end of the day, we want the permit, the occupancy, and compliance. Yeah.
You can't get permits until the conditions are compliant.
Correct.
That's the bottom line.
I'm sorry, Mr.
No, Mr. Davis.
No, I get it. We want to satisfy the board, but we want to satisfy our residents as well, right? Frank, would you have?
Well, I was just going to say, what was the specific, I'm just trying to call the specific reason we asked them to provide us with an interim set to review, because usually the process is, if there are changes made during the meeting, during the application, we put together a checklist of compliance issues, and eventually they have to do a resolution compliance. Someone reviews it, the engineer and the planner, and then eventually the building department. Isn't that normal? I'm not.
There was a number of things that were being revised in the plans that were presented.
Too
They needed
many.
to provide
The attic.
flooring, and so they provided revised plans, but left this part of it off.
Right.
I mean, the part where they were supposed to take it away, so
Right.
it's still showing that. So
And then
that's
that's-
why this time we
Yeah.
required revised plans.
Nick?
So I agree with Mr. Rego, and I agree with Mr. Mazzio, and in other situations, you're right, it's all part of resolution compliance. Now, I don't know how Kenilworth acts on the protocol after it leaves here, but in other places, that resolution compliance, somebody issues a resolution compliance letter, when it's all done, whether it's the first revision, the 9th revision, the 10th revision,
Yeah.
and then that letter goes to the building department. I don't know how it works here, but the building department doesn't give out a permit unless that resolution compliance letter is signed.
Kevin,
So
you could-
I don't know, is there any interaction between, not us, but would be Kevin and/or Harbor as the people that are signing off on the resolution compliance and the building department? Or does the building department just willy-nilly, here, here's some revised plans? here's your permit?
We've
I don't
had
know.
in the past,
Yes, yes.
and correct me if I'm wrong, board, we have in the past adopted the resolution and also had a condition to that resolution that the applicant would bring a copy, get it off to the planner, and we would give, I don't want to use the word authority, but the authority for the planner to review that and say, yes, this complies, and they could go ahead and get their permits. Am I wrong, Kevin?
You are correct, Chairman.
But you could, just saying, like Ms. Rego said, you could memorialize the resolution based on last month's hearing. It's just that, that's all we're doing, we're memorializing. We're not giving the building department caveat to, here, knock yourself out. They don't have resolution compliance until everything is done, until the stairs are taken out, until the tree is replaced, or, I don't know, whatever. Just, whatever we talked about.
May I comment real quick? From the last hearing, I recall that based on the resolution, the board posts something in the newspaper, which then there's a waiting period for 30 or 40 days.
45 days.
45 days.
Within that window, no permit is issued either way. So I would comply with obviously in 45 days, revising again the submission. of
That
the
has
state.
nothing to do with the ordinance.
Right. I mean, theoretically, you could take 45 days, or you could take up to, I don't know, a year to do resolution compliance without your your approval being expired, right? It's some 6 months or 9 months or something like that. but-
Period
Yeah.
For somebody to go to the board and say, you should not have granted this.
Or go to
That's why it
court.
goes in pay.
Go to court. You can apply for a permit within 45 days. You do it at your own risk. I don't think this is a risky application in terms of someone appealing and reversing what the board did, but
I don't know, well, what was the, did you want to say something?
If you don't mind, sure.
Go ahead.
The applicant in this particular case is the victim of his own steadfastness, in that the resolution compliance process is that the resolution is adopted, and then the applicant submits their resolution compliance paperwork, which goes to the building department, and then Harbor and I take a look at it, and we sign off, and then, only after we approve that the conditions have been met, are they allowed to issue a permit.
Okay.
So they have submitted their revisions, hoping that that would help us out in passing the memorialization, I'm sure, but instead it muddied the waters. If they hadn't submitted this, we'd be at square one, that you pass the resolution or you don't. But I think this just muddied the waters. They still have to go through resolution compliance.
So is there a safeguard to prevent?
The safeguard is that borough staff will do their duty as they have sworn to uphold and defend.
Okay.
And if this board wants to, maybe Kathy, a little tickle reminder for next week, if Harbor, I can just at least take a look and report back to the board, how would that be?
That'd be fine.
and the applicants are on record as saying that they're not surprised by these conditions, they're aware of them, and they're in the process of remedying them.
It's going to be removed, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And they will submit. I mean, I think in the resolution, it says that they're going to resubmit
Right.
plans that depict
Yes.
what the board decided. So
Yes.
Right.
they have to now resubmit newer
Yeah.
revised plans that show that done. Okay, I mean, as long as there's a safeguard on top.
And you guys don't have a problem doing that?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion made by Mr. Mazzio, seconded by Mr. Pantino. Roll call.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Mr. Pantina?
Yes.
There you
Mr.
go.
Mazzio?
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi? Yes. Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Beautiful. Congratulations, folks.
There you go.
Okay, we're going to go back up to item number 5, communications. An email was received on 2/26/24 requesting the planning board to undertake a preliminary redevelopment investigation on 2000 Galloping Hill Road. When I got this correspondence, I immediately asked Kathy to distribute this paperwork, right, Kathy, to the board members so we could read it, understand it, and we could talk about it tonight. So, Kevin, we did all of this. We did everything that was required from the governing body, and we see some things here, and I need you to maybe enlighten us on what's going on.
Sure, Chairman. It might be helpful.
Do you want me to get these out?
Yeah, our board secretary was very helpful to make some copies of some documents for me, which I'd like to have distributed to the board. They explain the redevelopment process. They are a copy of the resolution that this board can consider, as well as drafts of cost proposals. So let's all take a look at those for a moment, and I'll explain.
So I give you the packet, you pass it down without taking one?
I had one, but jeez, I'm telling you. You want to back that one? Yeah, it's the same.
402. There you go.
I got that one.
Did we get this paper from that tree that was taken down?
I feel like I'm getting homework.
Kevin, this is where your tree went, Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin? No, it's not Kevin. See, sorry, he didn't
When I
respond.
say we eliminate there's some stock here.
Yeah.
It's borough stock.
There you go.
Guys, I just want you to know in the back, you are welcome to stay. I just don't, you know, you can see the whole process. I just want you to know that everything has been approved at this point.
Hey, Lou, in the past, I wasn't able to vote on certain things because of my status as a council person, and I vote on it subsequently after the board. Are we gonna run into that here with the redevelopment plan?
Well, the redevelopment
No.
plan is not up this evening.
Yeah, the plan's way down the road.
Down the road, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Plan, yeah, no, you're good.
No,
I can act in both capacities then.
Yeah, I mean, you're a member of the planning board. So,
Appreciate it.
let's go.
Okay, I guess everybody has copies in front of them, and
Kathy, do you have the steps handed out as well?
yeah.
That was the first sheet, right, the single sheet.
Okay. So.
Do you have one?
Yes. So everybody should have, I think, 4 sheets in front of them. The first one we're going to go over is kind of where planning board area need a redevelopment process. And then the second one
I think we might miss one,
would be the draft resolution.
which is, okay.
Kathy, got the draft resolution?
Resolution 2024, Borough of Kenilworth, County.
82,
There's one.
yeah.
Is that mine?
Yeah,
Dated March 14th.
March 14th?
Yeah.
Extra copy of that, Kev?
Everybody have that?
I do.
Extra?
It's not that one.
I think I have that one.
I don't have this.
No, March 13th I have.
I have a,
No, the second
Oh, I have.
page.
March
No, March 14th.
No, you didn't distribute
Number 2
that.
should be a planning board resolution dated today.
I don't have that.
No.
You're not talking what was left for us?
No, not that one.
That's background, that's not.
Yeah, this is what the council passed.
Yeah, there's a resolution from the council.
I don't think we have it on this side.
It's a resolution. I don't have planning board resolution.
must be out there somewhere.
We don't have it on this end.
We don't have any up here.
You got it?
Well, they're being cut down anyway, so what difference does it make, right?
I don't think they're on this side.
No, we're not on this side.
Thank you. I get one. You get one.
Yes, this is for Kevin. Thank you.
Whereas 92 tons.
You need 2 more? Kev, you need 2 more?
Probably a workout.
That's it, that's what we were just talking about, right?
Unless you want that one.
Rich,
Yeah.
everybody is cool.
Okay.
Okay, so the documents are, the first one is 10 steps. No, we're not on the meeting tonight. Number 2 is a resolution. Number 3 is a letter from me to Chairman Paserno, dated March 13th. And the 4th is another letter to Mr. Paserno's chair, also dated March 13th.
Is the third one the estimate and the fourth one is the big one? All right.
Yes. So, number 1, the process. We received, I think about 2 weeks ago, communication through Ms. Mushira, I think it was the 28th or 29th, that the Borough Council had passed a resolution, which you also have in front of you.
Right.
It's Resolution 2024-82, which passed on the 21st of February, which authorizes the planning board to undertake a preliminary study for an area in need of redevelopment. To receive that communication, under direction from the chair, I have developed this timeline, the process. So the first item is that this is the entire process for an area in need of redevelopment to be created by the planning board and by the council, and then it goes to fruition in that there's shovels in the ground and a building is built. So item number one, the Borough Council adopts a resolution, sends it to us and tells us to do a study. Number one is done, as I capitalized afterwards. Number two, planning, now this is where we are right now. Number 2 and 3 are where we are at this very moment. And for those of you who have been on the board a little while, you may remember this process from North 26th Street. We've gone through this. So at this point, the planning board will pass a resolution, and you have a draft in front of you next time. And the document, the resolution rather, will authorize the planner to conduct the area in need of redevelopment preliminary investigation, known mostly as a study. Okay, once that resolution is passed, I have written to the chairman with a proposal, which tells the board exactly what we will be doing under that, and then second, what it will cost them all together, because there's legal engineering and planning in this process. This is a planning board process, as stated under the law, and municipal land use law, and in the development and redevelopment law of the state. Now, this site for lapse.
It's 12.5, Kevin, I think.
Is it in this resolution?
No, I'm in redevelopment. Yeah, thank you very much. That's 40A for alpha, colon 12, A for alpha, dash 5 and 6, in the redevelopment and housing law, and the words that matter are the planning board, the resolution shall authorize the planning board to undertake a preliminary investigation to determine whether the proposed area is a redevelopment area according to the criteria set forth in the redevelopment law. Such determination shall be made after public notice and public hearing. So the next steps for this board are to authorize the study. The board has the pertinent information as to what that is going to cost and how it's going to be done, as well as a target date of our June meeting. So 90 days, which is pretty fast in redevelopment. The other steps that have to be taken after this board reviews the investigation, the study, at a notice public hearing, which I'm anticipating right now is June, could be at another time, that's up to the board. Then the planning board will either accept the study, reject the study, or revise the study. And they will pass those findings on to the Borough Council. And at that point, the ballgame changes, and under step number 4, inning 4, it goes back to the council. The council does their steps, which is to prepare a redevelopment plan. A plan is a different thing from a study. And they will hire a planner or whatever entity they wish to conduct that redevelopment plan, and the plan lays out what will happen in that area of redevelopment. It's akin to a zoning ordinance. And that they'll lay out the setbacks, they'll lay out the allowed uses, what can and cannot happen on that property, as well as all the bulk requirements. And after that, the redevelopment plan is referred back to the planning board for a master plan substantial consistency determination, in which they find it is or is not compliant with the master plan. That's why I have the word future in capitals after that, because that's a planning board function. And then council, number 7, they adopt the plan. They oversee the implementation, which means that they, or if they are the redevelopment agency, they will hire a redeveloper. They've got the plan in front of them, And then when a developer has a site plan, they come back to this body for site plan approval, which is not part of the redevelopment process, but it's the very last step. Just like we did with North 26th Street. Remember, after all was said and done, they had to come back here for site plan approval. So those are the planning board functions in an area in need of redevelopment study. Those are your duties and council's duties and other folks' duties. And that's how the process works. Are there any questions about the process?
Nice job, Chip.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much.
What's the nature of the study? You're just going to basically look at it as a blank slate?
Thank you. We're going to be looking at the property in terms, let me back up. When we sit as a planning board to review an application, and we have a burden of proof that the applicant has to meet, that they have a hardship based on the land, or the application advances the purposes of planning and zoning, and that it's a better alternative than what would be compliant. In redevelopment, there are a list of criteria. It's about a dozen. And the criteria are listed, and some of them could be that the buildings are obsolete, or that the area is, they used to call it blighted, there's new language these days, or that they don't function in accordance with modern economy, and they can't be used currently, and they need to be either changed or torn down or rebuilt. Also in terms of vacant land, and we know on this property there's a lot of vacant land. Right now, that parcel is zoned for office and research, as well as a whole host of ancillary functions. When we went to Merck in the beginning and said, tell us all the things you do here, including the helicopter pad, so that we can get it in the rules and make sure that you guys are a self-contained entity. Well, this time around, I'm sure they're going to tell us what they would like to do for this property, but that is more function of the plan, helpful in preparing the criteria. So that your report, my report to you that you have to judge is, did it meet that dozen criteria, which means that it qualifies as an area in need of redevelopment.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the process? Lou, did you want to add anything to that?
No, it's fine. You covered it, including infrastructure, if the infrastructure's a certain age.
Yes.
Things like that.
Yeah. Does anybody want to hear the criteria? I'd be happy to hear them. No, okay. All right. Tell you what, I will pass them out subsequent to the meeting. Okay, I'll get them out of the email.
So, my understanding, from what you just told me, is that the governing body said, we are asking the planning board, the governing body is asking the planning board to do a redevelopment study.
Requesting us to do a study,
Okay. In order for them to find out
for us to report to them if it meets the criteria.
if it meets the criteria. So that's what this board is doing tonight.
Those are your duties under the law.
Okay. And this 10-step thing that you put together for us, this is the protocol for, this is the protocol for every municipality under the municipal land use laws and the criteria for redevelopment.
Correct.
That's right.
There are state statutes, the redevelopment and housing law, which I just cited, as well as the municipal land use law, which we are familiar with.
To beat the dead horse, if I went to Linden, they would have to follow these same
Well,
things.
you know, Nick has his own way of doing it. But no,
I want to be clear, because, you know...
This would be for
we need to be-
non-condemnation.
Okay, non-condemnation. I want to be clear. Okay, so now, we have in front of us that. We have in front of us...
If I could
Elaborate.
extend the question for a moment, if I may.
Go ahead.
If you don't follow the procedure, what happens is that the entire process from soup to nuts, from number 1 to number 10, after this thing is built, if some savvy person is aware that step 2.3, step 8, step 7 was missed, there would be a lawsuit, and everything goes away and starts over again.
Okay. So I guess that's the question.
Rich, I can tell you that working in other municipalities, this is what they follow in terms of the process.
Okay.
This is what's done.
And I could say that for the last 5 years in Linden, as having reviewed at least a dozen, maybe 2 dozen redevelopment plans and carried it through fruition of over, I don't know, 1,500 apartments in the last 5 years, this is the way it's done, so.
Okay, so can I pick apart items 1 through 10 a little bit? All right, just so I understand a couple of things. So you said that step 1, the Borough Council adopts a resolution which directs the planning board to undertake this preliminary investigation. We hear it.
Correct.
We're doing it.
Correct.
Right?
And you
We're
have a
following
copy
the
of that
rules.
resolution in front of you.
Okay. The planning board authorizes a planner, and we're not going to reiterate the whole paragraph. Okay, we understand. This is what we have to do. We have to get this ball rolling. As you went down to 4, 5, 6, you then said, at that point, after this is given to the governing body, after it's approved here or whatever, and it goes to the governing body, that's when they hire their planner to do the redevelopment analysis.
A planner, not their planner.
A planner. They hire a planner.
Right, to do, there's a study, and then there's a plan.
Okay.
Study's sort of like your concept
Okay.
package,
So,
and then there's the plan, which is,
We do the study, once it's determined to be, meet the criteria, then everyone's off to the races. Then the governing body can say, okay, we're going to hire some hotshot redevelopment, engineering to do this, whatever they want to do.
I get the process, right? So, what I'm also looking at from the governing body, in 2024-82, they already hired people to do this.
Well, my assumption, Chairman, because we have had no communication other than the resolution. I mean, nobody sat with us, nobody's talked about what's going to happen. So my assumption is that they are within the law and they've hired somebody to do the redevelopment plan, which is subsequent to our actions.
Okay, all I'm saying is...
I'm just assuming, I have no idea.
Okay, I'm just saying is, if that's the case, the sequence is not following protocol.
Well, we don't know what they did.
Well, we don't.
Because they haven't told us.
We're just doing our
But
thing.
if they had hired a redevelopment planner, that's fine, doesn't matter. They could have done it, whenever they wanted to. But it has no effect on our actions and has no effect upon the study. Now, they mentioned an entity, a pre-qualified planning consultant, DMR architect. I don't know who they are. No one from the borough has contacted me about them. But if they want us to talk to them, we'll be happy to talk to them, Chairman.
Okay, so this resolution that I have here from the governing body has nothing to do with what we're doing here tonight.
Well, it does. It directs you to do the study.
It directs us to do the study, but this is what's on the table tonight,
Yeah.
our vote on how we bring this forward. Am I correct?
Several other items, like number 2, number 3, are really in innings 5 and 6. So if they jump the gun, that's up to them, that's their problem or responsibility. But it has nothing to do with our action.
We do the stuff up front.
But I have a question. So, number 2, if we're saying that the DRM was just hired after we do our study or survey or whatever we're doing, right, on the planning board, the number 2 is DRM is hereby to assist the planning board in its preliminary investigation.
No, it's up to Kevin.
No,
Kevin Rice, reach out to
No,
them.
I mean, that's the way it reads to me.
Yes.
You guys are lawyers and everything, you can read it better than I can, but...
But the governing body cannot authorize anyone to do the study, only the board can. So maybe they hired this person to do their redevelopment plan. I don't know, I have no knowledge, no one has talked to me. And frankly, Chairman, I find it shocking that early February, consultants were hired by the governing body. This has obviously been in the works for months, and we have heard nothing about this until February 28th, and all we have is a resolution. No one is bothered to say, hey, this is what's going on, this is what you guys need to know to go forward. We have nothing. So, since I have nothing, if I'm sorry.
Mr. Paterno, weren't you involved in the meetings?
Absolutely not.
Oh, I thought the mayor was inviting you.
Excuse me, you're interrupting me, Mr. Warren.
Yeah, I'll address you right after that. He is correct, but I'll tell you the meeting that I was at.
Sure, I'm answering the question. So the answer to the question is, I don't know who DMR is. The council obviously has something to do with them, and as part of the study, I'm more than happy to talk to them. But this clause in this resolution and number 3 have no bearing whatsoever on this study. Mr. Regal may wish to...
No, I agree. Again, as Kevin said before, at the appropriate time, and it could be now, it could be later, once there's a determination by this board that the area meets the criteria, and it's sent to the council, and if the council says, we agree with the planning board, then they can hire whoever they need to come up with a redevelopment plan on a very large piece of property. And if they want to hire a redevelopment council, because at that point you get into financial issues, you get into all kinds of things with a redevelopment plan. I think Nick said, I know in Linden, these things can be monsters. So we don't get involved, we get involved with reviewing the project once it's proposed, and they come before us as any normal site plan application. But that's down the road. If the governing body hires people now, fine, but they don't really put their baseball uniforms on until after we determine that that property meets the criteria.
So whether they followed the protocol of how you have lined this up, they could hire these people at any interval, at 1, at 3, at 2, at 5. It's their prerogative. They're the governing body. They could do what they want when they want to hire them. But it is our job to make sure we do the study and then turn it back over.
It's not their job, it's not these consultants' jobs to chime in on whether the property meets the criteria. That's up front, and then they jump in after.
Okay.
But since it was mentioned in the council's resolution to us, our draft resolution does include guidance to the board and to the planner to at least consult these people as they have.
To answer your question, I was present. I was asked to sit in on a meeting with the council president, the mayor, a couple of attorneys, only as, let's call it, somewhat of a liaison to help the council president and the mayor understand procedures of what was going forward. However, after that meeting, I was not invited to any other meeting. I didn't know what their next step was, what they were going to do. I could anticipate what it was, but any meetings that was together with DMR, any other harbor consultant, or anybody, I was not privy to. And almost immediately after those meetings, I haven't been here, so I've been away for 6 weeks or more. And no, I did not attend any of those meetings. So I had no knowledge that they already hired someone. It was brought to my knowledge by Kathy, I think on the 28th, when she asked if I got an email. I was in the British Virgin Islands, and I said, I'm not looking at emails, you know. So, and at that point, when I saw what was there, I advised Kathy at that point to get us to this point, to make sure that our board has the documentation to review it, to understand it, bring it up at our next meeting. The mayor then texted me and said to me, we need to get this somewhat fast-tracked and done because of our tax liabilities and things like that. And we all know what's going on with that. Everybody in our groups know that. And I said, Mayor, I will do what I can within the limits of the law. I need to make sure that every one of our planning board members understands the documents. And for those, as he said, Kevin said, for the newer members, they don't quite get everything that we need to talk about the procedures and protocol. for us guys that've been around for a while, I remember doing this 2 or 3 times now, and I've taken a couple of classes to understand the protocol. However, as far as tonight goes, I wasn't sure on what I was voting on until I heard everything I heard here tonight. I had to be clear, so we need to process and talk that out. So, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sure, Rich, thanks.
You're welcome.
So let me ask a question. I gotta go. But I like consistency also, and I just, so everything that was said, the Borough Council passed this resolution. Resolution 2024-82, which authorizes DMR to go forward through the plan, which we know can't happen because it's up to the board to do it, not the
It doesn't
council.
authorize DMR.
Well, it sure does look like it.
No, it
DMR is
doesn't.
hereby authorized to assist the planning board in
To assist.
preliminary...
Yeah.
To assist. Okay, so...
Not right to study, assist.
Yeah, I get it, but they're kind of like directing a new entity to, putting somebody on contract to help us.
Well, we don't know that.
Well, I don't know, that's what I'm
All we know is
reading.
They've got somebody, we assume at this moment, like the redevelopment plan,
Okay.
and they've asked them to assist us, which means we can ask them to consult with them and see what they...
Okay, so they're asking them to assist us, but meanwhile, resolution, this one that you passed out, which was dated today, which we have to memorialize, or I guess you can approve it and memorialize the same night, is memorializing this one?
No.
No.
Or is it just
No.
play on words that it's a resolution of memorialization, and you start out as whereas resolution 2024-082? So it sounds like this is memorializing this one.
No,
It's
this
just a-
directs us to do this. It doesn't memorialize this.
But I'm just saying by the wording, and maybe I'm being too anal, but resolution of memorialization, I mean, you get it? I mean,
maybe Lou can help you out with that.
We
Here's what we're
memorialize,
doing.
approve resolutions, right?
Here's what we're doing tonight. The governing body has sent to us by resolution, take a look at the study area and has block and lot, and see if it meets the criteria for an area in
No, I get that.
development. Okay.
I get that.
So we've got that. This resolution says we got it, we understand the property, we're going to authorize Shamrock to do this study,
Okay.
and that's what we're voting on.
And
we're
we're
just doing-
including DMR because they include DMR.
Well,
We're under no obligation
That's what I'm
to
asking.
utilize
I'm getting it.
DMR.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's
They've
all.
authorized us to do that. It sounds like they're asking us to do that, and we're saying in this resolution.
In number 3,
that we will
Kevin can consult if he needs to consult.
Okay, I
So
wanted that
that's it.
clarification because when I read it, it sounded like they were directing us to use DMR.
Well,
And then we were kind of going along with it and changing it, you know, I'm just.
In item 3, the words change a little bit, where it says, "The mayor and council president, borough clerk, borough attorney, and the redevelopment council are hereby authorized and directed
No.
to take any necessary and appropriate action in connection with the investigation of the delineated area and investigation."
And that only happens if Kevin needs them.
Okay.
Is that, okay, you know what, I'm sorry to beat a dead horse, but I want to know, is that like subject to interpretation again? Like, you know, and sorry though, but when you guys get into a room, you play ping pong with a lot of words, right? And what us laymen here have to understand is, well, when I read this, oh my God, they're authorizing and directing this Nick to tell Frank what to do.
There are
That's the
certain-
way I'm reading it.
There are certain areas in the council resolution that go beyond the redevelopment law. The bottom line is, we direct Kevin, we directed Shamrock to do this, we're going to. And Kevin can, if he needs to consult with anybody, he can consult with anybody, whether it's DMR or whatever. This makes it sound as though everybody under the sun can chip in with our redevelopment, with our study, and it's not the case. And rather than ask the council to go back and redo their resolution, which will take time, and what knows. We're just basically saying the law says this, the resolution says that, we're going with the law, and it's captured in the resolution that we're going to authorize Shamrock, I think, to do the study, and if he needs to talk to somebody, he can talk to somebody. That's, at this point, later on, anybody wants to, once the area is declared in need of redevelopment, then the cuffs are off.
If the areas.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've not done it.
You said once, which implies a decision.
No, if, all or part, I don't know.
Does all the board members and also Billy, do we all understand this thoroughly? I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way, Bill. I meant that out of actually respect, like as council liaison, right? So I want to be sure that we all understand it. Mr. Dunn?
I guess 3 questions to clarify myself. The redevelopment study, that's required by law?
Yes.
That's required by law?
Yes.
And the proposed total expenses are incurred by the municipality, right?
By the board.
Yes.
By the board.
By the board.
So the board gets invoiced and in return the town.
Right. Now, what can happen in the future, depending upon the redevelopment agreement, which is
after the plan.
B9, with a possible redeveloper, is that the borough can be reimbursed for their costs
Yes.
in getting to that step. So that is a function of the council and the redeveloper and the redeveloper.
Way down one.
Yeah, Mr. Dunn, if we go through this process, 1 through close to 10, and if there's a redeveloper selected by the governing body, financially, that's a big nut for a developer, because there's going to be a lot of money involved in terms of upfront cost reimbursement. They're going to be paying for their own people, they're going to be paying for borough members to do studies and permitting and all the rest. So, but a redeveloper has to have a lot of money on hand, to cover all those contingencies.
So this third study is funded by the government, and then there has to be a plan put together by someone else that fits within the study?
Also by the government.
Usually...
But the issue is, that's come up, is that there may be a plan already kind of in place before the study.
No, the redevelopment plan, the way it normally works, well, there's two scenarios. The study area is determined to meet the criteria. Then it goes to the governing body to do what they need to do. A lot of governing bodies already have, and I'm not saying anything out of school, a lot of governing bodies already have developers in place. They'll say, look, if we do this, and if the study comes back in terms of it meets the criteria, and if this and if that, what do you need from us? What do you want to do with the property? And there's a meeting of the minds as to what the developer needs and what the borough needs. And if they jive, then that's what the redevelopment plan looks like. Otherwise, a governing body is coming up with a redevelopment plan that a developer may say, I can't do this. There's not enough units. There's too many units. The setbacks are too big. A good municipality will have someone in the wings, and they work with them to come up with a plan that fits everybody. So the developer makes a little bit of money, the borough or the municipality is happy, and there's no surprises.
Can I digress a second, because he put a question out there that I don't know if we answered correctly, or not correctly, or what he wanted to hear. I think the question on the table is, who pays this? The planning board budget pays this. However, the planning board has a budget, and we don't know, I don't know right now, because I haven't seen a report, how much is left or how much is in that budget. We may not have this money. So if we would have passed this resolution tonight and say, okay, this is a great idea, we kick it back, we send it over, not kick it back, we send it over to the governing body, and the governing body says, oh, they have no money in the account, we can't do this. It stops right there, because they cannot go further with a redevelopment plan without the redevelopment study. Did I hit that?
Yep.
So, yes, we're paying for this. We have to pay for it. So, all the teams all the players have to be on the same team, and we all have to work together to get this thing done right. We can't move forward if the governing body balks at what we're trying to do, because they gave us a direction. This is what we need to do. Oh, we have no money in the budget. We need to find it.
So this was passed by the governing body on February 21st, and it's March 14th, and we're not sure if we have the money in the budget.
I'm not saying we do or don't. I don't know what that budget is, but if this gets passed tonight, we're going to know by tomorrow. It's going to be that.
In regard to the budget, as we're talking about it,
Yeah.
on the fees, are they broken down in any specific way by hour and hourly rate? It gives like lump sum numbers, so I'm wondering if it anticipates, 30 hours, 40 hours, and a rate. No.
Anybody who gives you hours on a redevelopment plan is wasting paper.
So how do you anticipate the expense if we don't
Well, that's the thing.
scope the hours and all that?
Well, you don't scope the hours, you look at the task. And in this particular case, you look at 105 acres. You look at 105 acres of which half are developed, some of which recently, in the last 7 or 8 years. Half of it is roughly vacant land. So you're anticipating in the study how long it's going to take you to, how long, how much effort.
Used to go.
And it's not
Get a vote.
time, it's really effort
Let's just get this
to really do this study right. I've been doing this for
Can you give
4
me 10
years,
minutes?
and I can tell you
Please.
that building is an art, it's not a science. So
As a member of the finance committee, I have to balk at that statement because we do look at hours
But
and
this
rates.
is, but no, no, no.
Talk about
We gave you-
effort, that's the rate,
But we gave
hours.
you a not to exceed number, so you know what you're getting.
So can I just interject before that goes back
It's
and
not
forth too much?
It's not to
Oh, I
exceed.
didn't see that, not to exceed, sorry, Rich.
That's okay. That was going to bring that up, but the other thing is, when the DMR or whoever else started this process, did they give a breakdown of hours? Did they give a lump sum of 1,000, 2,000, 1,500? And that would be almost like the protocol of somebody saying, for this job, I get this, but there's no hours associated with it. So I don't know if that's what happened, or if it doesn't happen, but it would follow the protocol. Yes?
The only thing I can say about DMR is that the council did enter into a contract with them back on February the 7th for the amount of $36,000. It's unclear as to exactly what it was for because the contract both authorized professional planning and professional legal services. So I'm not quite sure which one they were getting. And there was a $5,000 override for meetings. So that total contract was $41,000. And as I said, without any communication through this evening, my assumption is that's what they're going to pay for redevelopment.
So it almost follows suit to the way you prepared your document.
Yeah.
I just want clarification here tonight. I don't want that, so for clarification, yes. Okay.
By comparison, if I may, the less than 4 acre North 26th Street redevelopment, that plan cost the borough all told about $13,000 between planning, engineering, and legal.
Okay.
What we're proposing is not a lot more for properties.
Much larger parcel. Kevin, I know that Nick has to leave soon, and I'm not trying to rush this at all, but I do want to ask these couple of questions or make these couple of statements before we do anything else. We know that we have a hot ticket item here, and as I know you said, this is a 90-day process. If you were to do this, or DMR, or Mr. Scuteri, is it a 90-day process for all of your firms to do something like this? Can somebody do it in 30? Can somebody do it in 45?
No.
Okay. It is the process.
It can be done in, anybody, got conflicting thoughts in my mind. Anybody can do this with dedication in 90-plus days. Qualified planner, they've done this before, similar qualifications, but they don't have the 25, 30 years experience here in the borough, which is what I have. Which means that you know where the property is, you know what's on it, and you know that automatically because you've been dealing with this.
Yeah, you're not reinventing the wheel.
Correct.
So my key, go ahead, my key concern is that we need, I hate to use the word fast track, we need to get this fast track so we could get to the governing body, so they could do what they have to do, and we need to get this developer on board for more reasons than just that we want another pretty building someplace. We need to get this moving. And if you could crunch that number of days down, it'd be huge.
I'd be happy to do that, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Just my concern, Kevin, and don't take this the wrong way, but we're trying to get the master plan done, and that's going to take a lot of your time, and obviously this can both be done in an expedited manner.
Just look
I
it up
mean,
before the master plan.
it's a lot of work that you're going to put on your table, right? So. It's a legitimate question, right?
Sure.
Yeah, no, it's
So you're absolutely right, the master plan I have to do. Redevelopment is something I bring a team. I've got, as I said, I've been at this for 40 years.
Understand.
I've got a lot of relationships. Our last redevelopment plan, I brought a team in. And there's a number, I mean, this is a big undertaking.
Okay.
And even though our 26, I did not do myself, I bring in expert help.
Okay, understand,
So
thank you. Okay.
I've got that team prepped over the last few days that, hey, this is in the works. Are you around? Can you work with us?
Mr. Ladati brings up an excellent point, Kevin, and that's what we're concerned with.
Absolutely.
Because we do have the master plan, we do have this, we also have your health issues that are going on. We want to make sure that your workload is not too heavy, and this can get done.
Many hands make light work. I have
Okay.
a team on it.
And when you go into the engineering and the legal side, who or what, have you picked someone? Is that something that you could share with us, or
Yes.
how are you going to do that?
I've consulted with Mr. Rego as he worked with the board on North 26th Street. He is very willing and able to do it again, and I have an estimate for his time in that last proposal to you.
Okay.
Harbor, as we know, Christian is not in the BVI, but some other warm spot.
Hawaii.
Showing himself, I hope. I took their numbers from North 26th, and I increased them, and I made this a not to exceed number, so that they may come in with a lower number.
Okay.
So that was an assumption on my part.
So, here we are. Any more questions or anything?
One last question.
Surely.
about Fees, you mentioned twice now, but not to exceed. Is that supposed to be in the letter to the board, or is that in the contracts?
It's in the proposal that you have in front of you.
Does anybody other than me see that? Because it's in the resolution, or it's in the letter on the 13th? Oh, in this letter?
Oh, yeah, in the March 13th.
Okay. Now, I make a long one.
Yeah, page 3 in the long one.
Thank you.
So we have it, okay? I think we've not exhausted it, but we talked it out, we have a full understanding. And I'm going to ask one more time, does anyone not understand what we're voting here tonight? And do we need any more clarification?
We have a member of the public here, Chairman.
Yes, I do, I do.
No.
I just want to get this portion, okay. Yes?
One quick thing is DMR Architects, we have knowledge of, and they are obviously contracted to be involved in this project, and they have not made any attempts to have any contact with any of our professionals here.
I have had no contact with anyone on those documents. I don't know if anybody else has, so the answer to that is no.
So,
I do professionally know them. They are a...
they're from Hasbrook Heights. I
Yes,
know
they are.
I know her.
Yeah, I know, yeah, as you would, of course.
Yeah.
They're a big redeveloper, planning and architecture agency. They're throughout the state. They're very well respected.
Okay, I'm just concerned, it's been a month, I mean, at some point, don't you think that you would have been like, hey, we're going to be part of this project, we'll be on the same team, and...
I would think somebody would reach out to find out, yes.
Yeah, they're good for down the road, you know.
Okay.
So if we're good, can we have someone make a motion to open this to the public?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. David, second by Mr. Scuderia. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this? Seeing none?
Make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Made by Mr. Davis, seconded by Mr. Clementi. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is there a motion, can someone make a motion to approve or deny this Would this be a resolution? This resolution requesting that the planning board undertake the preliminary redevelopment action.
To approve the resolution and memorialize it this evening.
Approve and memorialize it this evening with this fee attached. Anyone willing to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Mazzio, seconded by Mr. Morrow. Roll call, please.
Mr. Paterno?
Yes.
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Mr. Demondo?
Yes.
Mr. Clementi?
Yes.
Mr. Pantina?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzio?
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy? Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
And Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Okay, so moved, right? Everything is great. Let's move on to new business. Any?
No.
No new business?
We have,
You have some new business?
no, there's a,
Okay. Are there any comments for the good of the board? The only comment I'll make, I think we did a very good job here tonight. Thank you, Kevin, for preparing us, enlightening us, putting us back on track. I really think that the governing body are going to be impressed with what we put together here tonight, and I think we're going to go off and running. So thank you for all your hard work. Do we have a motion open to the public?
Motion?
Motion made by Mr. Morrow, seconded by Mr. Pantina. All in favor? Aye. Anybody from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none.
Close the public.
Motion by Mr. Demondo.
But okay.
No, that was for the, what do you call it? So now we're closing by Mr. Demondo, seconded by Mr. Mazzio. All in favor? Aye. Okay, meeting adjourned.
There you go.
Thank you.